Welcome to our next lesson. So in this lesson, I want us to revisit the health check handler. Okay, and what we want to do is to replace the fprint lines. In other words, the hard coding of the health check functionality by using JSON. Now we'll take a couple attempts at this. So in this lesson, I want us to start with a trivial approach to using uh, JSON, okay, JavaScript Object Notation. Okay, so let's take this status, this environment, and this version, and let's place it in a string. Okay. So I'm going to say JS, and I'm going to use my backticks. Okay. And I'm going to have, well, let me see if I can put it on one line. So I'm going to have my curly braces. Of course, for JSON, we have a key, a colon, followed by some value. So available, okay. And then we separate by commas. So we have environment, okay, colon, and then we will use modulus q, okay. And so this modulus q is just a placeholder, and this will be replaced as you will see shortly. Put a space. Okay, and after the environment, we will need the version. So the key is version, and the value is of course going to be whatever is specified. Okay, so this is our make-believe JSON. Okay, we're still hard coding the JSON values. Later on, we'll see how we can make them more dynamic. All right, so let's use this JS variable. We will say JS is, and we will create a formatted string. So fmt sprintf, okay, and we're going to pass in JS, and then of course we need to pass in what those placeholders will be replaced by. So the first one will be replaced by app.config.environment. All right, and the second one will be replaced by, of course, the version variable. Okay. Now, what we can do is to now go ahead and add any headers if we need any. And whenever we are using JSON, okay, so remember previously we are returning our results just as text, okay, in no particular format. And so if you recall, when we printed the headers and it looked at the content type, you notice it said plain text. So we want to change that. We want to specify that we will be serving JSON, a format that is JSON. And so let's make a change. So we're going to say let's specify that we will serve our responses using JSON. Okay. And so we have W, that's our response, that header, and we will set the content type field. Okay, content type. Okay, normally this is plain text, but we want it to be set to application /JSON. Okay, so this is the header that we set. Okay, So what we're going to do now is to simply write the JSON as the HTTP response body. Okay, so of course we're just going to use w.write. All right, and of course we need to provide some byte slice. And how do we provide a byte slice? Well, we're going to provide JS, which is not a byte slice, but that's easy enough to do. We'll simply do that. Okay, so now it will be converted into a byte slice. Okay, so that's our first attempt at our JSON functionality, or JSON, our API handlers returning um, the responses in a JSON format as opposed to a plain text format. Okay. All right, so let's test it out. Let's test this out. So let's start our server. Okay. And let's open another terminal. And let's use curl. Okay. Let me use http:/localhost. And then on port 4000, version 1 of our API, followed by health check. Okay. Oh, okay. We're gonna fix that. All right. So notice it's printing on the same line, but we'll fix that later. What is important is that you notice that the content type is now telling us that it's a JSON format. The responses are now in a JSON format. Okay, so let's go to our browser and let's notice this was text, right? Previously it was just text. Let's refresh, and so notice if I go to raw data, right, this is it, pretty print, that's that. But if I go back to the JSON format, you'll notice that it's nicely formatted. We have, and by the way, notice the alphabetical, no, it's not in alphabetical order, but we'll talk about that later. Status, environment, version, okay? The keys and the values, all right? So this is what I mean by the JSON format. Okay, notice content type is of course application / JSON. All right, good. Okay, so our first change didn't break anything, it still works. So what we want to do going forward, or actually let me, yeah, I guess I'll discuss it now. In the next lesson, what I want to do is to use the JSON package that Go provides to make this a little bit easier and more efficient. So I'll see you in that lesson.